Okay. Um. Hi, guys. Okay. I think audio is coming. Okay, fine. Hi, guys. I just came after giving the 1 second. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I just came after giving the first slot. This is what I will tell you about the slot. I'm not going to go into the details of how each section was or what questions came, but I'll tell you whether there were pattern changes and difficulty level. So, firstly, there were no pattern changes. So, if you gave dashcat, the exact same pattern came. 16 questions of RC, two questions each of para summary, para insertion, para jumbles, and OC para jumbles. Exact same format as the dash cats. Okay, no change whatsoever. Then when it comes to DILR, exact same format, 3 sets with 4 questions, 2 sets with 5 questions. The quant section was also exactly the expected 24, 22, 22 questions. So there was no pattern change whatsoever, absolutely zero pattern change. Now coming to the difficulty level. VRC slightly more difficult this year, not because it is tougher in terms of like the questions asked. Some questions were sitter, but each option is lengthy, which means that for you to read and find the correct answer would be slightly more difficult because each option is slightly on the lengthier side. Okay, I would say that this is, I would say, in terms of difficulty, it is a moderate to hard VRC section because the options were lengthier, but 2 of the 4 options could be easily eliminated because they were like distortions were put at the very start of the options. So it is not very difficult, but it will take you time, which should mean that your attempt rate might be slightly lower. So don't panic that if you're not able to do all 4 RCs, etc. Don't panic. This will be slightly difficult to do like full section. I did the full section, but essentially I had to speed up because the first 2 RCs, the options were very long. Coming to the LRDI section, the LRDI section had basically 5 sets. 2 sets I felt were very tough, but there were 3 sets which were very doable. Essentially, there was one arrangement set which seemed tough at the start but was doable. There was one question on charts which was very easy. There was one question on one set on table with missing values which was also doable. Not very easy but doable. So over here we had types of sets that we are very used to. Arrangements, tables with missing values, charts, etc. You guys are used to it and they are on the easier side. I will say that picking the right set is very important here because there are some sets that are harder. You should be careful of them. But in general, there are at least 3 easy sets that you should be able to do. Coming to quant, here I want you guys to be very careful. When I started quant, I felt that this was like 2023. The first 3 questions were very hard. But then suddenly a sitter came. In general, in quant, you will find 5, 6 questions which are very difficult. Okay, will take at least 5 minutes to solve that question. But then there are quite a bit of sitters, like direct application of formula. Direct, you have to just divide or something very, very simple like that. Okay, so I will tell you that over here, the first look through the quant section, you have to be very, very stringent in how you attempt it. If something looks difficult, leave it. I essentially ended up solving 16 of the 22 questions. Of that, basically, I felt 6 I left at the end. I had 1 minute left, but those 6 that I left, I looked at all of them and they were not something that was easily solvable. Even though I had looked at each one of them individually before, in that 1 minute left, I could not solve any one of them. So there are some 5, 6 questions which are very hard. Don't fall for those time traps. There are easier questions that you can do. Some are direct applications of formula. Arithmetic in general here was, I felt, easier. Make sure that you do all arithmetic. There were some tougher questions from geometry. Geometry suddenly had much more questions than what we had expected. I think there were 5 questions from geometry, but they were on the harder side. Stick to arithmetic. Make sure that all arithmetic is properly done. That is the easier part. And essentially judge the question and be very strict in removing all questions which are on the tougher side, because there are some very difficult questions, but there are sitters that you should always pick and you should always solve. Okay, so make sure your question selection is on point. Don't fall for the tough questions. The QA section looks difficult, but it is not difficult. You just have to be ruthless in your question selection. Okay, so this is my input. I'll just see if there are any questions and I'll check if there are any questions, and then we will, I'll head over to this. 1 second, guys. Okay, I'll just make it, turn it this way. And I can't see the questions properly. Please share. questions that you expected to be MCQ were there. So all OC, Theta, Parajumbles were MCQ. And there was one set, DILR set, which was entirely MCQ. The balance of MCQ, non-MCQ questions was as okay. So okay, I hope that it's still proper. So what I will say is that number of in VRC, the topics that were covered were basically economics and sociology. They were there was no philosophical RC, nothing of that sort, but basically it was like crime and punishment and responsibility. Uh, it's all things were essentially humanities. There was nothing which was very economics related also. It was just all humanities, 100% humanities related. So don't worry. I felt the passages were slightly difficult to read, but it might have been that at the start I was slightly like at the start you have that nervousness, no? So the first passage I felt was slightly difficult to read, but I think that some of the passages were easier to read also at the end. The last passage I felt was an easy read also. So maybe my estimate of the difficulty of the passage is slightly hard, but the questions were not difficult but lengthier. That is the only thing that I will say. Be careful. The question options are lengthy. It is difficult to spot distortions in some cases because they are lengthier than what you would generally expect. Okay, and good number of attempts in each section. I think anything which is, say, if you are able to attempt 20 questions in VARC, it is good. Anything between 16 to 20 should be good. Okay. When it comes to LRDI, I think 2 sets is a good attempt because there is a small possibility that you'll get stuck in a painful set. 2 sets is a good attempt. 3 sets would be ideal. Okay. And there are 3 sets that you can attempt. 3 sets essentially which are non-painful. In quant, I would say 15, 12 to 13 is a good attempt. 15, anything between 15 to 20 would be a great attempt. But 12 to 13 is a good attempt because there are like 15, 16 questions which are not too difficult, solvable as such. Okay. That's my analysis. Come back. Uh, I'll give a quick summary of each of these. VRC moderate to difficult, LRDI traps, moderate to difficult, QA mix of sitters and difficult, mix of like 5 6 easy questions and some I would say uh, uh, 5 6 sitters, and then the remaining which are 10 which are in the moderate level, 10 moderate, 6 5 6 sitters and 5 6 very difficult questions. Okay, if you have done arithmetic well, you will get some sitters that you should definitely solve. Okay, so this is my analysis of the first lot. The guys going in for the second slot, best of luck. You can do it. Just be ruthless in question selection and don't get worried by the length of the VRC. Just stick to it. VRC attempts will be lower. If you take more time to read the passage, it's fine. If you take more time to select questions, that is fine, because the VRC passages and questions are lengthier. In LRDI set, find the easy sets. There are DI sets which are easier. Make sure that you find them and solve them. Okay, be very careful of what you choose. And in quant, there are sitters, there will be sitters. Solve them first. In the first go through in your quant section, be ruthless in rejecting questions which are tougher. Don't take it on the ego. Just reject questions that are tougher. Okay, so this is my analysis, and best of luck for slot 2 and slot 3, guys.